What's up, people? I'm Shaggy, the Opinionated Hippie, and this is part, 12 of my reviewing and ranking Yes live albums. I'm going to talk about that one down there, Like It Is, Yes, at the Bristol Hippodrome. I'm going to rank the songs on the album based on how well I think they come across live. And then I'm going to rank this album compared to the other albums. And I started this project because when I did the studio albums, I had discovered that there were a whole bunch of live albums that I had never heard before. I had only ever heard the first three, which were Yes Songs, Yes Shows, and 9012 Live. So I was like, I'm going to listen to all the other ones. And I was thoroughly prepared for most of them to be pretty bad. Just because aging rock stars, aging prog stars. I don't know. My expectations were low. And I was pretty pleasantly surprised for quite a number of them. Even ones that were more recent. I really thought that more of them were going to sound like this one, which I kind of did not enjoy. The first thing that gets in my way is no John Anderson. John Anderson also was not in the previous one that I reviewed, but that one was a little better. Even, what was his name? Benjamin Benoit, or Benoit Benjamin. Not sure which one it is. That guy wasn't bad, and I thought he did a good job of being Anderson. He didn't bother me. Here you have John Davison, and from the beginning, I can't. Some of these songs, I could imagine another singer doing them and maybe not trying to sound like John Anderson, but there's something about John Davison that almost like he's trying to be Anderson, but he's obviously not. And on the more like things like Awaken, songs that just feel like maybe you need a little more turn of the century. I'm missing John Anderson, and I can't ignore the fact that it's not him. Jeff Downs has returned for this one. He's on keyboards. He's no Wakeman. I'm probably not even a K. Maybe better than a K. I don't know. But he's not bad. He's got some interesting sounds, but I actually think some of the more interesting moments are because of Downs. The rest of the band is Howe, Squire, and White. And they don't seem like it seems like they keep getting in each other's way. And it seems like all the segues or transitions that are built into songs, like the beginning of Yours Is No Disgrace into the song proper, just doesn't work. Or like the segue from Your Move into All Good People seems awkward and weird. There's just a lot of times where it sounds like the band it sounds like they're in different rooms playing the songs, and that they're just Steve Howe recorded this, and then White recorded this, and Squire recorded this, and then they put them together, and sometimes it just doesn't match up, or there's something off about this album, and I don't know what it is. The other thing I don't like about this album is this was the tour when they did Close to the Edge, and then they did Going for the One, and then they did the Yes album, and then they did an encore, which was usually Roundabout. I saw this tour. Don't know why, but I got a relatively cheap ticket, so I went, and it was rough. And I don't understand the attraction of album tours, because almost this entire listening, this is only Going for the One on disc 1, the Yes album on disc 2. There would be another release which comes in a couple more, which they have Close to the Edge on. They didn't release this tour's version of it. I think it's a later tour. Don't know. Haven't got there yet. But I do know a Close to the Edge is coming. And there's just no element of surprise. And most of the time I'm like, I would rather listen to the original studio albums or any of the other versions of live versions of these songs that exist elsewhere. So this was rough. It came out in 2014. Late 2014, the actual show that this is from May 11th, 2014 at the Bristol Hippodrome. But yeah, this was a rough one. So 11 songs, I'm going to rank them from my least favorite to my favorite based on how they come across live, not basing on their studio versions, but how much I like their live versions, kind of compared to their studio versions. Doesn't really help this one though. So anyways, yeah, let's get to that list. I've been yakking enough about this. Number 11 is Your Move, All Good People. This one is usually midway on every list just because there isn't that break and that silence between Your Move and All Good People. There's that drum roll into it. I don't know what's up with that drum roll into it now. It sounds like he wasn't expecting it. Like it's just like this, duh, 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 and then we're off, and it doesn't work for me. The All Good People feels weird. The Your Move just doesn't work. Like this is bottom of the list for the disappointment factor. That's why I have it here. Number 10, if you've watched any of these other videos, anytime this song has appeared, which has been a whole bunch of times, it's usually number 1 or one of the top ones. But tonight, Yours Is No Disgrace is number 10. 100% for the disappointment factor. There is no Steve Howe breakdown in the middle. They're playing the album version. You get a little bit of a solo. Then you go right back into the last third of the song. No one of those things where they break it down and Howe's playing and then Squire comes in and then they jam for a while before. No, that doesn't exist. The bum 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 ba ba that part, it's slow and awkward and it feels like they're fumbling it. And how I like Howe's tone. Like I think Howe's playing is fine, but yeah, it's a rough one. So Yours Is No Disgrace is number 10, just for the straight up disappointment factor. It's just slow. I wrote I like Howe's tone and his clarity, but just there's no Howe jam, and you just can't not have that Howe jam when you've been having that Howe jam since like 72, maybe 71. I don't know. It's crazy. Number 10. Number 9 is Turn of the Century. Not a big fan of the studio version. This one doesn't help. You lose Anderson. You don't stand a chance. Number 8, Wondrous Stories. This would be on the back of most lists because I'm not a Wondrous Stories fan. But there is this sort of cushion of keyboard awesomeness that Downs provides from the very beginning all through the whole thing. And that little keyboard part of Downs, kind of this soft bed of synth, I really, really like. And it makes me enjoy Wondrous Stories a tad bit more. So that falls in at number 8. Number 7 is The Clap. And I remember thinking this when I saw it live, that it felt uninspired. And like Steve Howe, had he had a choice, would have chose to play something else at this point in his career. But because they were doing the Yes album, he had to play The Clap. Yeah, kind of just left me a little disappointed. It's still The Clap. It's still Steve Howe. But there's a fire that's lacking, I thought. Number 6, Going for the One. And I wrote in my notes, I guess. That's what I wrote. I guess. They did it. Really nice Downs keyboard work on here. Like the one highlight I do remember from this is Downs sounds pretty good. He has some good little keyboard action going. So Downs is kind of good, but I think he drops it in the middle, right? But I wrote, I guess. Not bad, but I'm like, it's also not great. It's going for the one. 5 is Awaken. The part I really like about this, kind of the thing that saves it, is that the middle section, they really bring it down low and let it simmer. And like they let that play out, and they really give Downs a chance to explore and breathe and do the middle section and do his best Rick Wakeman impersonation. And that middle vibe in Awaken really, really works well for me. I think the rest of the song is missing just the bite of the studio version. A lot of the Awakens that are live are missing. I think there's a little bit of a bite and an edge to the studio version that a number of the live versions have been lacking. This one even more so. And again, we don't have Anderson. So yeah, it just feels, I wrote it feels tired. It feels tired. This is another song like, I mean, they've been doing Awaken a lot on these releases, but like when you're doing an album, like, are you sure you wanted to do these? Like Jeff Downs is in the group. Do drama and reinvent drama. Like let's do something interesting. But no, they didn't. Number 4 is Parallels, which gets points for being the song choice. I think it starts off like the first minute, I'm just like, oh, this is rough. And then when Davison starts singing, I'm like, oh, this is rougher. But then about 2 minutes into it, I'm enjoying it. I'm in it. There's some good energy. They haven't played this song in a while on tour. I think maybe Squire and White and Howe were like, hey, it's a fun song to revisit. So I think you can feel the energy of that. Howe's closing solo is pretty decent. Yeah, Parallels is like a nice choice. It's a nice song to hear. Number 3 is Perpetual Change. Pretty much for that, a closing solo. Hal's closing solo is pretty decent. I don't think it's fantastic. Where is my parallel notes? I don't know where I wrote parallel. Maybe I'm confusing that with something else. No, but I did like parallels. I did like it. I don't think I wrote notes on it, but I did enjoy it. Oh, I did. There we go. Yeah, it's just really, really rough in the beginning. And then it kind of isn't that bad. Yeah, Downs has some really interesting keyboards parts in parallel. The closing solo that I actually like is the closing solo in Perpetual Change. His closing solo is pretty good in that. Kind of saves the song. I wrote that this is at number 3 because they ruin it less. They ruin it less than they ruin like Yours Is No Disgrace or Your Move All Good People. And Parallels lacked flow, especially for the first 2 minutes, but I get points for the song choice. And then it just gets better. It just gets interesting. I like it. But that was Parallels at number 4, Perpetual Change at number 3. Number 2 is Starship Trooper. Decent version. Don't like it when during the like worm part, you know, Steve Howe does this playful thing in the beginning, which is cool and playful. And then when Howe Squire steps up, Davidson's like, Chris Squire. Like, you don't need to announce Chris Squire. Like, you know, just let him play the bass solo. We know it's coming. We know what he's going to do. You don't need to, we know who he is. But this is such a good song. They kind of couldn't ruin it. Even Davidson's voice couldn't ruin it. Howe has a great tone throughout of it. Pretty good, but, you know, good. Probably maybe the highlight of it. It's not number 1, but number 2, maybe the strongest thing on there musically. But number 1, and it's there for the song choice. It's there because it's not been released before. Actually has a pretty nice Downs jam at the end. Downs takes some time to like get a nice little like extend it out a little for an extra minute or 2 at the end. And that's The Venture. I do think the song itself kind of feels a little stilted and awkward, but when they get to the end and they kind of loosen up and let things kind of just flow and jam out for a while, I'm like, okay, I can get around to this. The Venture, yeah, probably the highlight of this release. The Starship Trooper, it would be my least favorite of all the Starship Troopers released, so that's why it's at number 2. But The Venture, I'm like, okay, cool. Don't hear many of those. But yeah, this was a rough one. That's what they look like in writing. Just, I don't know, man. This is what I'm like, I was really excited about this project and actually looking forward to every next release. And now I'm to the point where I'm like, there's like 5 or 6 more. This is going to be some rough going if they're all this bad. Where would I rank this among all the albums? It's at the bottom. Like Union Live was rough. Songs from Songus was rough, but I think those had some bright spots. Like those had things that I'm maybe like, hey, this moment was actually kind of good. But there's nothing on this. I just thought this was rough. The Venture may be the only thing. I do have a separate list of my highlights from here. That's it right there. That's the highlights. The top 10 tracks I've heard so far. They're not a chance. Not a chance. One of these songs is making this list. No siree, Bob. All right, that's all I got. I hate to be negative, but I also don't want anybody to go out and buy this album, to be perfectly honest with you. I thought it was pretty rough. And if you're a big fan of Going for the One and Not Close to the Edge and the Yes album, there are better live versions out there of these songs, especially Awaken. Better live versions of everything that's on the Yes album. The studio albums are better than this stuff. Sorry. Yeah, I hate to be a grump and not like it. I wanted to like it, but I just kind of don't. All right. That's all I got. Let me know why I should like it, how I should change my mind, what I'm missing out on, all that stuff, or your thoughts on this. You know how these things work. Subscribe, like, share, comment, all that kind of stuff. Thanks for watching. Stay warm. It was 80 2 days ago. It was 89 Tuesday afternoon. It's like 40 today. Texas is rough. Talk to you later, people. Peace.